Welcome back to another episode of Divine Journey 2. In the last episode, we got access to Galacticraft, and we headed to the moon. In between episodes, I set up the other 5 mob loot fabricators. The one for Life Crystal, Twilight Clock, Triskylin Amulet, the Item Magnet, and the Stabilized End Crystal. And all the drops are now part of this little drawer wall here. And they're all fully upgraded and they have void upgrades on all of them. So they're basically just going to run indefinitely from now on. And the way I'm importing all the items is I have a little drawer controller here and then an item exporter with export all items. And then there's just item interfaces on all the item outputs. And yeah, our next planet that we're going to discover is Mars. If we want to survive the atmosphere of Mars, we're going to have to make the little thermal set from Galacticraft. And to do that, we have to make our thermal cloth. And if we combine it with the netherite set from Divine RPG, we can make our thermal padding. To make our tier 2 rocket, we're going to have to make some boosters. And those boosters require 6 sapphire accelerators. If we combine our sapphire accelerators with the space rock, compressed meteoric iron, oxygen vent, and some flux thrusters, we can make our tier 1 boosters. And the other components we need for our tier 2 rocket is a nose cone, a tier 1 rocket engine, 4 rocket fins, and finally we need 10 tier 2 heavy duty plates. And with that, we can make our tier 2 rocket. Alright, let's launch to Mars. Now that we're on Mars, we can mine for some Desh, which is actually what we're going to use for our tier 3 rocket. I've gone ahead and used our dungeon locator to find the Mars dungeon. And this boss fight's actually a little different. We can't just kill it normally, we have to shoot the TNT back at its head. Let's go claim our tier 3 rocket schematic. While we're on Mars, another thing we need is some of this bacterial sludge, which spawns in these little caverns underground. And I'm just gonna grab a bunch. The last thing we need from Mars is to go to one of these little dungeons here. And inside we can get their secret alien technology. Before we make our tier 3 rocket, we're going to sidetrack for a minute and make the ultimate compressor, as that'll allow us to get our plates a lot faster. And for this multi-block, we need 1 machine controller, 10 reinforced machine casing, 1 big energy input hatch, 1 reinforced item input, 1 reinforced item output, and finally 12 advanced compressors. There's actually one other thing we need, and that's a bucket of molten mystic, and that goes in the center of the structure. To survive the next few planets that we're going to go to, we're going to have to upgrade our thermal padding to the tier 2 version, which is the isothermal set. For our rocket core, we're going to have to make a beam core, which is an ender core, an offensive core, reduction core, a mortis V crystal, and a permutatio V crystal. For our tier 3 rocket, we're going to need 5 of these ambient thermal controllers. Next up, we have to throw these ambient controllers with the secret alien technology inside the little liquid crafter here. I also have to add bacterial sludge and rocket fuel. And in a few seconds, we'll get our empowered thermal controllers. And to make our tier 3 rocket, it's 1 heavy nose cone, 4 heavy rocket fins, 1 heavy rocket engine, 10 tier 3 heavy duty plates. Finally, we need our 2 tier 1 boosters. And before we launch into space, we have to unlock Venus. Right, let's launch into space. Let's head to Venus. I've gone ahead and set up our digital miner for solar ore, as well as Venus volcanic rock. And another thing we need is actually this sulfuric acid, which I just went around looking on top of the surface, and there's a pool right here that we can grab from. And I also found one of the dungeons that we're looking for. And inside we're looking for the little boss room and treasure door key. Alright, I've spent quite a while trying to find the boss key, and I cannot find it. So we're going to try and tease it with a little chorus fruit. Aha! Alright, let's fight our Master Maze Scribe. After a bit of traversing, we've made it to the treasure door. Let's claim our loot. So it turns out I completely forgot about the quest. So we have to go find the boss store key now. And I was searching through the maze again, and I came back here, and I noticed this last time, but forgot to look up and actually didn't notice this part here. So maybe we'll get lucky this time. Oh, those are witches. I think we might have it this time. Ah, there's our boss door key. And here's our Venus dungeon. And we actually need these web strings here. There's one more area we need to go to in space, and that's the asteroid belt. So we're gonna have to research this too. But the good thing about this is we can just use our normal rocket. We don't have to upgrade it or anything. Let's head off to the asteroids. While we're on the asteroid belt, one of the things we need to look for is one of these little dungeons here with the cyan lamps on them. And we're looking for chunks of the meteor that ended the era of dinosaurs inside. Right. There are 5 digits that we need to look for. There's a 1 and a 9 right there. So I'm going to find the other 3. Be back. Alright, let's open up, fight our next boss, the Asteroid Keeper. And if we combine our chunks of the meteor with web string and titanium box, we can make our hyperglued meteoric casing. Next up, we're going to need to make our empowered solar dust as well as our solar ingots. And to do that, it's some sulfuric acid, some purifying fluid, some solar dust, and Venus volcanic rock. And to actually get our solar ingots, it's empowered solar dust, bottled hellfire, the angelic silicon crystal mixture, a condensed Ignis V crystal, and a solar array panel. And it also costs 1 creosote oil bucket and 300 millibuckets of protein, which can be gotten through this protein reactor from Industrial Foregoing. And it just takes in any raw food item or heads or rotten flesh and outputs protein. I've gone ahead and made a second batch of solar ingots so that we can start crafting our laser focus machine parts. And to do that, we're going to need 1 machine blueprint, 1 machine controller, and for the reinforced machine casing, instead of crafting another whole stack, I'm just reusing it for the liquor from the liquid crafter right now. And then once we get star metal seeds, then I'll go back and craft another stack. We also need 44 lead sheet metal slabs. We need 7 portions of the sun, 4 reinforced glass casing, 1 reinforced item input, 1 reinforced item output, 8 steel fences, 4 ancient bars, 9 lead sheet metal, 1 mechanism laser acceptor, 1 mechanism laser, 1 huge energy input hatch, and finally 9 firebox casing. Alright, I've gone ahead and assembled the laser focus structure. And down there I have a phantom face hooked up to the back of this little huge energy input hatch here. That's what's giving this side power. And for the laser acceptor side, the only way you can input power is to use the mechanism laser. And I'm using a little bit of integrated dynamics here, since this laser acceptor has a huge buffer. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but it's pretty big. I'm limiting it to 30 million currently. And I just have a little quantum entangle portal here, and then a energy exporter with a variable card. And it's just checking if the little energy MBT, if it's less than 30 million, it'll be true and allow power to go into this laser here. And if it's false, it'll stop power from going in there. And yeah, with that, I think I'm going to end this episode here. So yeah, thanks for watching.